Well, so what about that?
Well, the coincidence. You see, I'd only been to the old boys there just a week before, and the chaps had been talking about you. How you'd been cashiered in Italy. And 1 year in prison, that was news. Mind you, in the prep room we always knew old Swan would end up in jail. That money box, I suppose.
What about it?
Oh, my dear fellow, everybody knew you took that money. Poor old Alfred.
Well, thanks for the treat. Interesting hearing about your matrimonial affairs. I take it you won't be wanting that car after all.
Don't you want me to tell you why I brought you here?
Yes. I think you'd better.
It was in the pub that it happened. Suddenly it was all quite clear. It was only a matter of arranging the pieces. The pieces were already there. You at school, poker, betting, Oracle. All was by yourself. All was on the make. And that money box. And Swan, Lieutenant Swan, cashiered, jailed. I'd often wondered what happened to people when they got out again. People like us, I mean. Do old friends rally round? I suppose they never had any friends. I was so curious to know that I followed you home that night and... Oh, I say, old man, would you mind just passing that glass? Thank you so much. And I've been following you ever since.
Why?
I was hoping I might catch you at something and be able to
Blackmail me?
influence you. After a few weeks, I got to know your routine, which made things a lot easier.
Rather dull work.
To begin with, yes. But you know how it is. You take up a hobby, and the more fascinating it becomes, the more interesting things get. You became fascinating to me. In fact, there were moments when I felt that you almost belonged to me.
That must have been fascinating.
You always went to Haringey on Mondays and the White City on Saturdays. I even took up dog racing, just to be near you. You changed your name to Adams.
Yes, I got bored with Swan. Any crime in that?
No, none at all. In fact, I was beginning to get rather discouraged. When you suddenly disappeared from your rooms, I got quite het up. I thought I'd lost you. Finally, I rang your landlady. She seemed pretty keen to discover the whereabouts of Mr. Adams herself. Mr. Adams owes me £5, I said. Well, apparently that was nothing. Mr. Adams owed her 5 weeks' rent, and her best lodger £15. And Mr. Adams had always been such a nice gentleman. That's what seemed to upset her the most.
Yes, that's what always upsets them the most.
Oh, I say, old man, if you want another drink, would you mind just sitting on those gloves for me? Thank you. Now, where were we? Oh, yes, I'd lost you. And then I found you at the White City and tailed you back to your new rooms in Belsize Park. There, Mr. Adams became Mr. Wilson. Mr. Wilson left Belsize Park last July, owing 4 months' rent and £35 to a Miss Wallace. You used to go out with Miss Wallace on Sundays. Ida said she was in love with you. Poor Miss Wallace. I suppose she felt that you were growing that handsome moustache just to please her.
This is all most interesting. You go on.
July, August, September. 127 Carlisle Mansions. Occupant of flat, a Mrs. Moretti. Her late husband left her 2 hotels and a block of flats, furnished. What a base to operate from, Captain Leggett. The only problem is, she does rather enjoy being courted. And she is so very expensive. Perhaps that's why you've been trying to sell her car for over a month.
Mrs. Moretti asked me to sell her car for her.
Oh, I know. I rang her earlier in the evening. She only wanted £9.50.
Where's the nearest police station?
Opposite the tube. 2 minutes walk.
Suppose I walk there now.
What would you tell them?
Everything.
Everything. About Mr. Adams and Mr. Wilson.
I shall tell them that you are trying to blackmail me into
Into...
murdering your wife.
Do you know what, man? I almost wish you would. When she heard about that, we'd have the best laugh of our lives.
Aren't you forgetting something?
Am I?
Yes, you told me a few things here tonight.
What of it?
Well, suppose I tell them how you followed them to that studio in Chelsea. They watched them cooking spaghetti and all that rubbish. Wouldn't that ring a bell?
It certainly would. They assumed that you followed her there yourself.
Me? Why should I?
Why should you steal her handbag? Why should you write her those blackmail notes? Can you prove that you didn't? You certainly can't prove that I did. It would be a straight case of your word against mine.
Is that what puzzled them? What could you say?
I would say that you came here tonight, half drunk, and tried to borrow money from me on the strength that we were at school together. When I refused, you said something about a letter belonging to my wife. As far as I could make out, you were offering to sell it to me. I gave you what money I had, and you gave me the letter. It has your fingerprints on it. Then you said that if I went to the police, you would tell them some crazy story about my wanting you to murder my wife. But before we go any further, old boy, please do consider the inconvenience. You see, I'm quite well known, and there will be pictures of you as well. Sooner or later, a deputation of lodgers and landladies will come forward to testify to your character. And what about Mrs. Moretti? Will she still marry you when she hears about the car? And Miss Wallace? Mr. Wilson? Mr. Adams? Oh, you are planning to marry Mrs. Moretti, aren't you?
Clever boy.
Oh, not really. I just had time to think the thing through, putting myself in your position, that's all. That's why I know you're going to agree.
Makes you think I'll agree.
For the same reason that a donkey with a stick behind him and a carrot in front goes forwards and not backwards.
Tell me about the carrot.
£1,000 in cash.
For a murder.
For a few minutes' work, that's all it is. No risk, I guarantee. That's as important to me as it is to you.
1,000.
All I've got. But enough to see you safely married to Mrs. N.
This money, you cashed it already?
Yes.
That wasn't very clever.
Oh, not all at once. And they won't be able to trace it back to me. Here. You can take that 50 on account. For a whole year, I've been cashing an extra £20 a week, always in fivers. I then change them for these at my leisure.
Where's the rest?
In a small attaché case. Somewhere in London. Of course, we don't meet again. After you've delivered the goods, I shall send you the key to the attaché case and the cloakroom ticket.
So you drew an extra £20 a week for a whole year?
Yes.
Let's see your bank statement.
By all means.
Don't touch. Turn back a page. Your bank balance has dropped by over 1,000 in a year. Suppose the police asked you about that.
I go dog racing 3 times a week.
They'll check with your bookmaker.
Like you, I always bet on the tote. Satisfied?
When will this take place?
Tomorrow night.
Tomorrow? Not a chance. I've got to think this over.
It's got to be tomorrow night. I've arranged things that way.
Where?
Approximately where you're standing now.
How?
Tomorrow night, Halliday, that's the boyfriend, and I will go to a stag party just down the road. She will stay here. She'll listen to the Saturday night theatre on the wireless and turn in early. She will dance when I'm out. At exactly 25 minutes to 11, you will enter this house by the street door. You'll find the key to this flat under the stair card. Here.
Third step.
That's the one. Go straight to the window and hide behind the curtain. At exactly 23 minutes to 11, I shall go to the telephone in the hotel to ring a friend. I shall dial the wrong number. This number. That's all I shall do. When the telephone rings, you'll see the light go on under our bedroom door. When she opens the door, the light will stream in across the room. So don't move until she picks up the phone. There must be as little noise as possible. Then, when you've finished, pick up the phone and give me a soft whistle. Then hang up. Don't speak whatever you do. I shall then ring off and redial the correct number this time. I shall then speak to my friend as if nothing has happened and return to the party.
What happens then? Go on.
You'll find this suitcase here. It will contain some clothes of mine for the cleaners. Open it and tip the contents onto the floor. Then fill it up with that cigarette box and some of these cups. Close the lid, but don't snap the locks. Then leave it here, just as it was.
As if I left in a hurry.
That's the idea. Now, the window. If it's locked, unlock it and leave it open. Then leave the flat exactly the same way as you came in.
By that door?
Yes. And here's the most important thing. As you go out, return the key to the place where you found it.
Underneath the stair cupboard.
Yes.